Let me ask you something. And I want you to really sit with this question for a second. If I told you there was a completely legal strategy, one that's been sitting right in front of millions of Americans for decades, that could protect your retirement savings from taxation, give you access to world-class healthcare at a fraction of what you're paying right now, let you live in a beautiful country for 6 months a year without touching your Social Security benefits, and potentially shield your assets from future U.S. policy changes. Would you want to know about it? Of course you would. And here's the thing that gets me every single time I bring this up. Almost nobody is talking about it. Your financial advisor probably hasn't mentioned it, your CPA might not even fully understand it, and the people who do know about it, they're quietly using it. They're living in Portugal and Costa Rica and Italy and Panama, drawing their American pensions, paying almost nothing in taxes, and wondering why more people aren't doing the same thing. That strategy is dual citizenship. And in 2026, something is changing that makes this more important, more urgent, and more powerful than it has ever been before. So stay with me, because the next 17 minutes could genuinely change the way you think about the rest of your life. Now, before I get into the 2026 specifics, and trust me, we're getting there, I want to make sure we're all on the same page about what dual citizenship actually is, because there are a lot of misconceptions floating around. Dual citizenship simply means you are a legal citizen of 2 countries at the same time. You hold 2 passports, you have rights and protections in both nations. You can live, work, own property, access healthcare, and move freely between those 2 countries, often without any of the usual visa headaches or bureaucratic nightmares. Now, here's what a lot of Americans assume. They assume that the U.S. doesn't allow dual citizenship. That's actually not true. The United States doesn't officially promote dual citizenship, but it does recognize it in practice. Millions of Americans already hold dual citizenship right now, legally, quietly, effectively. And here's what the wealthy have known for a long time that the average retiree has not. Having that second passport isn't just about travel. It's about financial architecture. It's about building a life structure that protects you, your assets, and your family across multiple jurisdictions. It's about options. And in a world that is changing faster than any of us expected, options are everything. So what's happening in 2026 that makes this suddenly so urgent? There are actually 3 things converging at the same time. And the combination of all 3 is what makes this a genuine inflection point. The first is the Secure 2.0 Act ripple effects. You've probably heard about the changes to required minimum distributions, the new rules around inherited IRAs, and the shifting landscape of retirement account taxation. Many of these provisions are phasing in fully by 2026. For Americans with significant retirement savings, we're talking IRAs, 401ks, pensions, the tax implications are getting more complex and more costly. Countries with favorable tax treaties with the United States suddenly become enormously attractive as primary or secondary residences. The second is what I call the global mobility squeeze. Post-pandemic, countries around the world tightened and then restructured their residency and citizenship programs. Many of the easy pathways that existed before 2020 are now gone or dramatically more expensive. But, and this is the key part, several countries launched or expanded new programs specifically designed to attract retirees and remote workers. These programs have deadlines and capacity limits. Some of the best ones are already filling up. The window is not infinite. The third factor is something that doesn't get discussed in polite financial planning circles, but I'm going to say it plainly: political and policy risk. Whether you lean left or right, whether you love the current administration or can't stand it, anyone who is paying attention knows that the U.S. fiscal situation, the debt, the entitlement obligations, the political gridlock, creates genuine uncertainty about future tax policy, Social Security, Medicare, and wealth taxation. Smart retirement planning has always been about hedging against uncertainty. Dual citizenship is one of the most powerful hedges available, and it's one that has historically been used only by the ultra-wealthy. That is changing. Now let me tell you about someone I'll call Margaret. Margaret is 68 years old, retired school teacher from Ohio. Her husband passed away a few years ago. She has her pension, she has Social Security, and she has about $340,000 in her IRA. On paper, she's okay. But she's spending nearly $1,800 a month just on Medicare supplements and prescription drugs. Her property taxes keep climbing. Her kids are on the West Coast. And she told me, sitting across from me at a conference in Phoenix, that she feels stuck. Like she did everything right and somehow still ended up feeling financially fragile. 6 months later, Margaret applied for Portuguese citizenship through Ancestry. Her grandmother was born in Portugal. She didn't know that still qualified her until someone told her. She's now in the process of getting her Portuguese passport. When she moves to Portugal, which she plans to do half the year, she will qualify for the non-habitual resident tax regime, which taxes foreign pension income at a flat 10% for 10 years. Her medication costs will drop by roughly 70%. And she'll be living in a beautiful coastal town on a budget that's actually less than what she's spending in Ohio right now, with better food, better weather, and a community of other English-speaking expats who made the same choice. Margaret's story is not unique. It's playing out in Panama City, in Medellin, in Chiang Mai, in the Algarve, and it is available to far more Americans than realize it. Let me break down the actual financial benefits, because this is where it gets really interesting. The number one financial advantage of dual citizenship for American retirees is tax treaty leverage. The United States has tax treaties with dozens of countries that determine how your income, Social Security, pensions, IRA distributions, investment income, gets taxed when you're living abroad. Some of these treaties are extraordinarily favorable. Portugal, as I mentioned, has the NHR program. Panama uses a territorial tax system. They literally don't tax income earned outside of Panama. The Philippines has specific provisions for American retirees through their SRRV program. Costa Rica is highly favorable. Italy has a flat tax regime for new residents. Greece has a similar program capped at 100,000 euros of foreign income. These aren't tax loopholes. These are legal government-sponsored programs specifically designed to attract people with foreign income, which is exactly what American retirees have. The second financial benefit is healthcare arbitrage. This one hits hard when I explain it to people. The average American retiree spends somewhere between $5,000 and $8,000 per year on healthcare costs, even with Medicare. In many countries where Americans are obtaining dual citizenship, Portugal, Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica, you can access private health insurance for anywhere from $100 to $300 per month. High quality, English-speaking doctors, modern facilities. I know retirees who actually fly to Mexico for dental work and surgeries and still come out ahead financially compared to what they'd pay in the US after insurance. Dual citizenship or legal residency unlocks access to the national healthcare systems in many of these countries as well. Third is real estate and asset protection. Owning property in a second country as a citizen, not just a tourist or visa holder, gives you rights and legal protections that are fundamentally different. In some countries, citizenship means you can own property in areas that are restricted to foreigners. In others, it means you have inheritance protections that ensure your assets transfer to your family without the legal complications that plague foreign nationals. And from a pure diversification standpoint, having assets denominated in a different currency and held in a different jurisdiction provides a hedge that no stock portfolio can replicate. Now let me address the people in the room who are thinking, okay, this sounds great for someone like Margaret with European ancestry, but what about me? What about someone who doesn't have a grandmother from Portugal? This is where the conversation gets really rich, because the pathways to dual citizenship are far more numerous than most people realize. Ancestry or birthright citizenship is one pathway, and yes, it's one of the most powerful. Many European countries, Ireland, Italy, Germany, Poland, Portugal, Greece, Hungary, have ancestry programs that go back multiple generations. Ireland goes back to grandparents. Italy, in some cases, goes back even further. There are American families right now successfully claiming Italian citizenship through great-great-grandparents. If you have any European heritage, this is the first question you should be asking a citizenship attorney. But what about people without European roots? There's investment citizenship, also called citizenship by investment, or the Golden Passport programs. Countries like St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, Vanuatu, and until recently several others, offer citizenship in exchange for a qualifying investment, typically a real estate purchase or a contribution to a national development fund. Costs range from roughly $100,000 to $500,000 depending on the country and program. Is this for everyone? No. But for someone with significant assets who wants a second passport quickly, these programs can deliver citizenship in 6 to 12 months. Then there's residency to citizenship. This is the most accessible pathway for most people. You establish legal residency in a country, you live there for a qualifying period, anywhere from 2 to 7 years depending on the country, and you naturalize as a citizen. Portugal, Spain, Panama, Mexico, Costa Rica, and many others have retirement residency visas with relatively modest income requirements. Panama's Pensionado program, for example, requires only $1,000 per month in pension income. Costa Rica's Rentista program has similarly accessible thresholds. You live there, integrate, meet the requirements, and eventually apply for citizenship. And then there's the pathway that almost nobody talks about: marriage and family citizenship. If you have a child who has already obtained citizenship in another country, that can create a pathway for you. If you have a spouse or partner from another country, that typically fast-tracks citizenship. These are real options for real families. Now I want to spend a minute on a group that I think is the most overlooked beneficiary of the dual citizenship strategy in 2026, and that is the immigrant community in America. If you came to the United States from another country, India, the Philippines, Mexico, Nigeria, Pakistan, wherever, and you naturalized as an American citizen, there is a very strong chance that your home country still recognizes you as a citizen, or that you can reclaim that citizenship relatively easily. For the Indian American community specifically, and I know many of you are watching, India does not allow dual citizenship in the traditional sense, but it does have the OCI card, the Overseas Citizen of India status, which gives you essentially all the rights of citizenship except voting. For the purposes of retirement planning, travel, property ownership, and family connection, the OCI card is extraordinarily powerful. And for countries in Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Africa with large diaspora communities, similar frameworks exist. If you came to America and built your life here, you may already have a path to dual citizenship in your home country that costs almost nothing and takes very little time. That is an asset you should not be leaving on the table. I also want to be straight with you about the risks and the complications, because I'm not here to sell you a fantasy. There are real things to be aware of. The most important is the FBAR and FATCA reporting requirements. American citizens living abroad are still required to file U.S. tax returns every year. If you have foreign bank accounts with more than $10,000, you must file an FBAR. These reporting requirements are serious, and the penalties for non-compliance are severe. This is not a reason to avoid dual citizenship. It's a reason to work with a qualified expat tax professional. Firms that specialize in this are not hard to find, and the cost of professional guidance is a small fraction of the tax savings you'll realize. The second risk is Social Security implications. Your Social Security benefits are generally not affected by living abroad. The Social Security Administration continues to pay you in most countries. However, there are a small number of countries where payments may be suspended or complicated, and if you're receiving certain types of benefits like SSI, those rules are different. Do your homework specific to your situation. Third, be aware that some dual citizenship arrangements can create complications with U.S. employment, security clearances, or certain federal benefits. If you're still working in any capacity that involves government contracts or clearances, get specific legal advice before proceeding. And finally, and I say this because I care about you, be very cautious about the citizenship by investment industry. There are scammers. There are programs that sound too good to be true. Work only with licensed, reputable immigration attorneys who specialize in citizenship matters. The investment required for legitimate programs is substantial enough that you cannot afford to lose it to fraud. Let me give you the practical roadmap, because I know some of you are already thinking, okay, I'm interested. What do I actually do? Step 1 is to investigate your ancestry. Seriously, spend some time on this. Talk to your parents, your grandparents if they're still with you. Look at old documents. Find out where your family came from and research whether those countries have ancestry citizenship programs. This step costs nothing and could save you enormous amounts of time and money. Step 2 is to consult with an expat financial planner and an immigration attorney who specializes in citizenship, not your regular CPA, not a general immigration lawyer who mostly does work visas. Someone who specifically works with dual citizenship, expat tax strategy, and international retirement planning. One good consultation will tell you more than hours of YouTube research. Step 3 is to visit your target country before committing. This seems obvious, but people skip it. Go spend 3 weeks there, talk to expats who are already living there. Understand the reality, not just the highlights from a travel blogger, but the actual day-to-day of living there. Healthcare access, language barriers, bureaucratic challenges, social community. The countries that work best for American retirees are generally those with established expat communities, English availability, and modern infrastructure. Step 4 is to start the paperwork sooner than you think you need to. Citizenship processes are slow. Ancestry claims can take 2 to 4 years in countries like Italy. Even investment citizenship programs that advertise 6 months often run longer due to government processing backlogs. If you're planning to use dual citizenship as part of a retirement strategy that kicks in at 67 or 68, you should be starting this process in your early 60s at the latest. Step 5 is to structure your finances properly before you move. This means working with an expat tax professional to understand how your IRA distributions, Social Security, pension, and investment income will be treated under the tax treaty between the U.S. and your second country. It means thinking about banking. You'll want accounts in both countries. It means understanding the healthcare transition, how you'll bridge from your current coverage to whatever you access abroad. The countries I consistently see working best for American retirees right now in 2026 are Portugal for its combination of quality of life, safety, English availability, and the NHR tax program. Panama for its dollar economy. They literally use US dollars, so no currency risk. Its territorial tax system, and its pensionado program, which is one of the most retiree-friendly in the world. Mexico for its proximity to family in the U.S., its cost of living, and the incredible variety of environments from beach communities to colonial cities to modern urban centers. Costa Rica for its natural beauty, its political stability. It literally disbanded its military in 1948, and its welcoming attitude toward American retirees. And Greece, which has become increasingly attractive with its golden visa program and flat tax regime, plus the lifestyle factor of living in one of the most beautiful and historically rich places on Earth. Each of these countries has different strengths, different costs, different citizenship timelines, and different tax implications. There is no single best answer. The right choice depends on your health, your family situation, your income sources, your ancestry, and honestly, your personality and preferences. Here's what I want you to walk away understanding from everything we've talked about today. Dual citizenship is not a tax dodge. It's not something shady. It is a completely legal, completely ethical strategy that has been used by wealthy Americans for generations to protect their assets, reduce their taxes, access better healthcare, and build more flexible, resilient lives. The difference between 2026 and 10 years ago is that the information is now more available, the programs are more accessible, and the urgency, given the fiscal, political, and policy environment, has never been greater. You worked your whole life. You saved, you planned, you did the responsible thing. The idea that in retirement you should just accept whatever tax burden, whatever healthcare cost, whatever geographic limitation the system places on you, that idea is costing Americans real money and real quality of life every single day. Margaret in Portugal is not a millionaire. She's a retired school teacher making smart choices. She's one of thousands of Americans who decided that their retirement was worth protecting and optimizing with every legal tool available. You can do the same thing. Before you go anywhere tonight, I want you to do one thing, just one. Pull out a piece of paper or open your notes app and write down your family's country of origin, every country you have any blood connection to. That is your starting point. That list might contain a citizenship pathway that you didn't even know existed. And then come back to this channel, because we are going to continue breaking down every piece of this strategy, country by country, program by program, tax treaty by tax treaty, so that you have everything you need to make a fully informed decision about your own life. If this video gave you something valuable today, if it made you think, made you curious, maybe even gave you a little hope, please hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps more people find this information who need it. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because we are just getting started on this topic and you don't want to miss what's coming. And drop a comment below. Tell me what country your family came from. I read every single comment, and I want to know your story, because your greatest financial advantage in 2026 might already be in your blood. You just have to claim it.